So how's everybody doing today? This is Dr. Joe Martin with the Warrior Mindset Podcast. And I got an awesome guest of mine today. We've been kind of friends, doctor, patient, friend-wise for a little bit now. I've been real fortunate over the years as a chiropractor, part of Doc's gym that I own, that I see a lot of the fighters, a lot of the athletes along the way. And, I got a fighter that just got finished with Valley Fight Series. That's what it is?
Yeah, correct, at Table Mountain.
Yeah. Paul Elizondo. And we've kind of been, you've been a patient of mine for on and off for a couple of years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And first of all, swing over. I'm going to handshake you here, bro. And,
I appreciate the invite.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Doc.
And on the fight. But we're going to go into the fight definitely a little bit later. But the mindset, no pun intended, with the Warrior Mindset, the mindset of this podcast is we, as the viewers of the podcast, want to know what makes you tick. So we're going to start back, man, from, where you're from, how you grew up, blah, 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 how'd you got to where you did today, family, successes, pitfalls, who pulled you out of quicksand maybe at one time in your life, or did you persevere and do it yourself?
There's been a couple of times with that.
A couple of times, yes. So we're going to go into that.
Definitely.
But, from the beginning, just tell the audience, a little bit of background. Where you originally from Fresno?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Fresno. I went to Fremont Elementary, Wawona Middle School, and Bullard High.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and right after Bullard, I did a couple years in Oklahoma for NAIA Division Wrestling.
Oh, nice.
Came back.
How'd you make out over there?
It was good. It was tough. It was tough. I was 19. Right after high school, I had the opportunity to go, and I didn't. I stood here. I went to Willow for one semester, and
did you wrestle with the City College?
No. I just went to Willow.
Nice.
And after one semester, I was like, hey, you know what? This isn't the only chance before I become a real adult. I got to go. And so, I went over there for 2 years, came back, and started working right after that. Went for marketing and advertising. And once I came back, I realized all the fighters who were fighting in amateurs, I was beating in wrestling in high school.
Right.
So I'm like, man, I went to CART in high school, Center for Advanced Research and Technology for marketing and advertising. And I rolled that over in Oklahoma. And I came back, I'm like, if I want to get a job in market for the business, I'd rather have my own business.
Amen.
And I want to be a personal trainer. I want to have my own wrestling team. What's the best way I can get a parent to have their kid come with me?
Right.
I could fight in the cage. I could get my wrestling in there and let them know, hey, if it's a bullying or street fighting, wrestling is the true key. And if it's not physically, the mental
aspect of
aura, that the vibration we carry around people, it's like, don't mess with that guy. Not more of a bully aspect, but I'm a little guy.
Yeah.
I didn't really get picked on, but I realized the more I can stand up for myself,
the less people are going to
the less that they'll try to. Yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
Did you wrestle when you were a kid? Like
yes,
all through elementary school.
Yeah, my uncles, my mother's brothers were wrestling at Buchanan and Central High.
Oh, okay.
So they were already deep in there.
Yeah,
and
like,
when I was 6 years old,
around the Zinkin times, or a little bit.
Yeah, so
older.
My uncle, a little younger. My uncle Robert graduated Buchanan, I believe, 2000, and my uncle Johnny graduated in Central 1998 or 99, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So around that time,
Zinkin time frame, right? Because a lot of Fresno State still had a wrestling team.
Yeah, so I was born in 91, so like around 97, that's when they got me in at 6 years old, 7 years old, and at first I thought it was WWE. And I was ready to go.
As a little kid, yes.
Yeah. I was
but
like,
then you
we're
found
Stone Cold.
Oh man,
what are these guys doing? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different mat. Where's the cage?
Yeah. And the training partner I went for was the coach's son. So when I first got there, this kid was whooping me a lot.
Now, what weight class? You started in sixth grade?
I'm a little guy. So 48? I was probably, 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah, 37, 40 pounds, 45 maybe. Yeah. I don't really remember.
Yeah.
But
because I think back then, or they still do it now, so I think it's 4th, 5th, and 6th. You can compete.
Yes, that's like in public school elementary, but then you have club.
Right.
In club, you can compete at like 6 years old.
Dude, yeah.
So that's when I was doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were the type of family, we had a lot of cousins, so we had 2 vans, jump in the cars, spend the night before playing video games. I had a cool childhood.
Did you almost, I'm going to say almost because I know the answer is probably no choice. Did you really have no choice but to wrestle with your family?
Yeah, I didn't until like 10 years old. My dad gave me the option to take some time off, and I went to go play soccer. And I was on a really good soccer team. All these guys spoke Spanish. We were ready to go.
Like
And
an Odyssey type of team?
Yeah. So I jumped on just being more aggressive from the wrestling standpoint.
Yeah.
They liked me. I wasn't anything special.
Yeah.
But I was a center mid, so I could play offense and defense, and we made it to the All-Star tournament. We got to the finals. And I don't know why, but my teammates were breaking mentally like, oh, these guys are good. For some reason, the other players had like one glove on each hand, and it messed with my guys.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, it was weird. And I told my dad once we lost, I was like, I'm going back into wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose the way I lost before. I'm not going to let these guys they lost before we started the game. So I went back, and that's the only sport I did after that.
Well, it's funny because, the whole topic of this podcast, a warrior mindset podcast, and a lot of times we talk about being a warrior, a lot of it's team oriented.
Yeah.
But wrestler, MMA, there's a lot of other sports you can pick, gymnastics, diving. Those are all individual sports.
Competing-wise, yes. Practice-wise, it's more of a sport.
Oh, yeah.
So, definitely competing.
Yeah, from the competing point of view, then you have that mindset. So one of the things, obviously we'll get into it, the MMA sometimes is really not a sport. It's a battle, But, you only have yourself to rely on. So if you miss a dive, you get pinned, you lose on points. There's nobody you can go against. Like a prime example, I've competed in a couple powerlifting meets. And the ironic part about it, when you're in the powerlifting meets, everybody's on each other's side. Everybody's rooting for everybody.
Interesting.
Because you're going against the weight.
But is there a podium?
Oh, at the end?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So if there's first, second, and third, does a second place guy not want you to get that weight up?
Oh, hell no. He does not want you to do that. Oh, yes.
Okay, got it.
So internally,
yeah.
But if you win, you can't really complain that there was a judge involved.
Yes, you're right.
Right.
Okay,
so
I get it.
It's a pretty good camaraderie, in that sport. Bodybuilding, different story. Or physique, which I've competed in there too. Yeah. It's you against the judge.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's tough, man.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't either.
What are they looking for? Are they looking for this? You come in all shredded, but you're not big enough. This time you're big enough, but you're not shredded.
Yeah, they shake your competitor's hand outside before you guys go in.
It has happened. It has happened. So, it kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. Yeah. So the powerlifting, I went to nationals. I was 50-something years old, and I was competing. I qualified for nationals, went to nationals. No coach, no nobody, just by myself.
Okay.
And we're going to go into the fight stuff where we talked about prepping.
Yeah.
We talked before we started filming.
Yeah.
On that part. And, I'm like some little kid walking in. I got my gym bag, got my wraps, and there's nobody for me. And the camaraderie aspect is there was a team of people that were like, yo, bro, you got a coach here? Nah, man, I'm by myself. By yourself? Does nobody help you to put your weights on and warm up? No, I just do it myself.
Your competitors are having massages on their traps and stuff
exactly.
ready to go.
And they got
water
the whole
bottle.
team. Yeah, exactly. And I had nothing. But this team then go, hey, man, just come with us. Warm up with us. Oh, you need a spotter? Because if I'm bench pressing, the judges aren't lifting the weight off it for you to bench.
Yeah.
Oh, I fumbled. And they're not helping you there at all. So these guys were like totally helping you out. So like a powerlifting, there's camaraderie there. With the bodybuilding, there's not.
Yeah.
You can have camaraderie in the soccer. Hold on a second.
Camaraderie with the weightlifting, with the powerlifting?
Yeah, so with the powerlifting guys, you had that camaraderie to where these guys, hey, listen, you're competing against a weight. Let's help you to do the best you possibly can.
Yeah.
Where in the masters category in the physique contest, the old guys were just hanging out. We're like, yo, bro, you look good. Nah, bro, you look good. Nah, bro, you look good. But then the young bucks in their 20s and whatever, they're all bird-chested out and they're just eyeballing everybody. And we as the old guys are sitting there, man, I don't want these guys, they're 25 years old. When they're 60, come talk to me if you're still, if you're not on the porch. I'm not sitting on a porch still. There's no porch for Joe.
Yeah.
The
momentum is no breaks.
Just keep going. And the fun part about like interviewing guys like you, 32 years old, it's kind of like the prime in a way, right?
Yeah. For fighting, they call that the prime from like 28 to 35.
Somewhere in that range.
Yeah. At least for the lighter weights. I think personally the heavier weights can get away with being a little older because they can knock somebody out and not have to worry about the whole fight. Right. Little guys, you're rarely knocking somebody out. Your knees have to keep up in practice all the time. Your back always has to keep up with the wrestling. If you're a little guy and not wrestling, you're in trouble.
Oh, okay.
The bigger guys, they could sprawl only, but they don't have to do double legs or anything like that. Not that many heavyweights are hitting double legs in MMA fights. It's more fists.
Yeah,
they want to hit that much. It's easy for them to hit that one punch knockout.
Right.
But for us, you cannot rely, like preparing for this last fight, you always have to prepare for a 15-minute war.
Check. Got it.
Every time.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the chances, obviously, we'll get into your fight later on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had a great opportunity. He had a great fight, and we'll get into that later. But I just want to go back to when we were just talking about, say, for example, the powerlifting. It's you against the weight, right? Wrestling, we'll start with wrestling. There's going to be a winner or loser. Yeah. Right? And now, is there overtime? Like in wrestling, can you have an overtime?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They'll make sure there's a
winner and loser. Yeah. There's no tie.
In high school and college, they have switched the rules up, but there will rarely be a tie, and it has to go into like quadruple overtime, and they make sure they have different scenarios, and sooner or later, one of you are going to break.
Right, and that's the thing that I firmly believe in. Let's do an event. Let's not get a judge involved. But ironically, the idea behind it is MMA. There's two possibilities. One is there's no judge involved if you knock the guy out. But if there's a judge involved, there's a chance of you, which you really can't complain. Whoever the judges say that
you ran out of time and you couldn't take him out.
And so it's like some of it is on you.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing I like about it. It's like, and most of the MMA guys that I you know, I've done some conditioning for these guys and helped them with the conditioning part, but mostly as a doctor, you know, keeping everybody fixed up. And it's kind of an interesting concept to where I talk to you guys and it's like, man, I let it go to the judges, you know, and that's mentally you're like, I don't ever want that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. You know but then it goes even deeper, Doc, because you got guys like John Jones, and he's said it before and admitted it, which no knock on him. He's one of the greatest, if not the greatest.
Yeah.
But he would admit before he was fighting DC that he would go and party just in case he lost. He would be able to fall back on that personally for himself. That's a mind screw in yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you can even lose like that.
It's like putting one foot in the grave already.
Yeah, exactly. It's like just in case and I bet some part of it, he just wanted a party.
Yeah.
But the other part is, well, I'm going to go ahead and if I lose,
I can blame that
and just get the rematch. Yeah. And it's like, that's tough, man.
Yeah.
That is a tough mindset to do. But yeah, like we were saying with wrestling, it is a one-on-one sport when you're on that day.
Yeah.
But my uncle and a lot of the wrestling coaches will tell you, if you're the best one in the wrestling room, you're not getting better.
Oh, yeah, a great point.
You're not getting better. Yeah. So like,
totally, that's
I was at Bullard High School, and my coaches would have to put like 3 or 4 guys in with me just to give me a workout, and I'm smashing these guys. But yet I wrestle against the Clovis High wrestler in high school, and he smashes me. But yet he's getting beat in his Clovis High School wrestling room.
Right.
He's the sorriest one in that room, but he's beating me on the mats when it counts, and I'm the best one in the room.
Yeah.
Then it started clicking like, okay, I need to make sure I'm always getting pushed in practice. Because practice, if you're putting your best in there, it's okay to lose.
Oh, my God, yes.
But you have to make sure it's 100% and true to yourself. If you don't, you're going to lose when it really counts, and it hurts even more then.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
Well, that makes a lot of sense just in the fact that you can, you know, say to yourself that, wait a minute, I'm the big fish in this little pond.
In practice.
Doesn't
matter.
Also, too, is you need to get out of the little pond and go, where are the big boys and how do I get a hold of those guys? Bigger tank.
Yep. And it's a humbling experience because you know you're going to lose against these guys in practice, but you get so much better when it's time to go to the tournaments.
The warrior mindset. You know, you're telling yourself, okay, I'm going to get beat for a while, but at some point, you know, I'm coming back and I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then once I could understand that part, it was a game changer for me.
So, so say for example, you're at Bullard, you're Bullard, or you're a freshman, or you're on was it Wawona?
I went to Wawona. Junior high, middle school.
But when did you start going outside your circle to then start trying to compete with some of the guys in training, or was it the clubs that you would meet some of the Clovis West, North Buchanan kids?
No, it wasn't until I got into fighting where I started doing that. I knew about it before, but it's so hard to go into those rooms that are better than you. The older guys who graduated from Bullard High School, they would come in and beat me up a little bit.
Yeah.
But mentally, he's older than me.
So right now,
He's
yes. So
stronger than
before
me.
you started a lot of that, like say if there's a place in town, we're already giving them props, Red Wave.
Okay.
That's a club.
Yeah.
So you could walk there and as a Buchanan kid and you're in a club and there could be a Clovis West kid.
Yeah.
High school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
exactly.
but they didn't really have that as much back when you were.
No, they had the throne with Jason Kraft.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I didn't take the opportunity. And believe it or not, when I was in high school, the state champions were going over there, which I should have done.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I was still high school. It wasn't until my teeth and my health were on the line in fighting where I was like, I need the best to come and beat me up in practice. At least give me a good challenge, give me good looks. Because mentally I know if I could bring this guy in practice and I could keep up with him, that guy would destroy my opponent.
Did you have brothers and sisters growing up?
I had 2 younger sisters. Now I'm blessed with a 6-year-old little brother.
Your 6-year-old little brother.
Yeah, my parents had an accident after so many years.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, all right.
So do you take him down too?
I actually have, I opened up my wrestling team because of him and my nephew.
Oh, no way.
So I have him at 6 years old. My nephew's 9 years old.
Now you get your own team.
And I have my own team now with them.
See, now go back to that warrior mindset. And, because I try to remember a lot of stuff that people say. You go back to when you're at CART, right? Marketing, management, business, entrepreneurship.
Yep.
And then right now, you get a club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
I'm blessed.
Yeah. So it's like you still had that. I use a term with people all the time. Is like life is about brick and mortar. Okay, so when you're a little kid, you make believe you're on a little blanket and your mom's there and she throws a bunch of blocks to you. You're putting the blocks on. Nothing sticks because you don't have that mentality yet, right? The mortar to put the 2 bricks together is what makes our life grow.
Yeah.
Those are the people. The mortar is the people. The mortar is the experience.
Yeah.
Right? And then your life is that you got this bunch of bricks when you're a younger guy, but then all of a sudden you're like, Cart, I want to be a business owner. I want to understand this. I want to get the marketing and whatever. And you're like, you walk into the beat of your own drummer, which is perfect. I'm in the same boat myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't ever want to work for somebody after I got out of the military. I never did. But it's kind of cool to where, 32 years old, and then all of a sudden you have a professional career, which is still, rising. And now you got like a small little team where you're working with some little kids along the way.
Yeah.
And it's just building. That's the mortar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And then you get another kid or another experience or a business, or you get a shell to build a gym or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah. Well, going into the fighting, I thought I was just going to do the club wrestling and I can get a regular job. But I never knew as a wrestler, I never knew there were adults wanting to be fit, volunteering and paying good money.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. I'm like, who's going to pay good money for a personal trainer? Mm-hmm. And that's what so in the same facility my wrestling team's at, I'm a full-time personal trainer with great people, pay me hourly. They want to be there. They don't have to be there.
Do you have a little business card and a name for your business?
Yeah, so I'm a Frontline Fitness.
Okay.
I like, in my soccer team, my coach said Frontline before, and I was like, what's Frontline? He was like, the military,
tip of the
the
spear,
military goes in first. Their mindsets is I don't care who's behind me, I'm in front. I was like, all right, interesting. And then starting fighting, that mindset of this is all in. You got to go all in. At just like if these military guys who put their life on the line.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, there's nothing behind you, nothing holding you back. If you lose, you win 100%, and you better be okay with losing like that.
Yeah.
Because in high school, I tell this story to my wrestlers when I talk about regret. I was pretty good, pretty solid in high school, but it was senior night. And I had like one of my first girlfriends. And I told her, hey, it's senior night tonight. Come over. In the back of my head, we're wrestling Reedley High. These guys are nothing. They're not good. They don't wrestle good. Come over. I'm telling my friends, first time that year, telling my friends, come over. Come tonight.
Party.
I'm going to put on a show.
Yeah.
I'm going to showboat. I'm thinking in my head this. I give the kid no respect. I do a wrestling move. First time all my friends and my girlfriend's there. With no respect, not going 100%. He does a defensive move that chokes me out, and I'm tapping like this. And I like throw my headgear. I know the coach, and I don't shake his hand. I go storming off. Worst thing of my life, you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't believe that happened. Next week, we go to Morro Bay. I apologize to the coach, and deep down, I tell myself, never again will I not give anybody the respect, because that will happen.
Oh, and that's karma at its finest,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And I think that's some of the mentality that that I have, being a former SEAL. And like I tell people too, that was a 6-year guy. I wasn't a 20-year guy.
Mm-hmm.
But what it did was it built my foundation of who I am.
Yeah.
To always respect your opponent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because my dad would tell me, my dad grew up, in the Bronx. He's a white dude in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
And he always told me, always respect your opponent because you never know when somebody's going to kick your ass.
Yep.
Just never back down. It was one of those things. I've told the story before, and the concept that you had. My dad, when I was younger, got suspended a couple of times for fighting, right? And my mom was like, let your dad handle it, white guy from the Bronx. And I'm like, oh man, he was a high school teacher too, so he knew
it's him.
He knew all the ins and outs.
Yeah.
He wasn't at the same high school that I was at. It was like you can't BS your dad if it's a high school issue because he's been there for 30 years. So I come home early, no practice, no whatever sport I was playing, everything I could as a kid. I wasn't great at anything, but made the teams. He said, "What are you doing home?" And I go, "Well, I got suspended." And he goes, "For what?" And I'm thinking, "Oh man, here it comes." And he goes, "Well, I was fighting." He goes, "You're fighting?" His first question was, "Did you start the fight?" "No, sir." "Did you finish the fight?" "Yes, sir." "Don't let it happen again."
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, "Oh, thank you, Jesus."
Yeah.
But the same mentality that you have there, it's like, don't disrespect. The guy started it with me. I made sure I finished it. We both still got suspended, on that showboating aspect. You remember that, and you'll tell that story for the rest of your life.
I sure will.
Yeah.
Because I've only lost one time in my MMA career, but that fight showed me so much. And in the back after, I told him, "Hey, dude, we ran out of time. He didn't submit me, didn't knock me out. It was a 30-28, 30-27, 30-29. So it was
tight.
But I knew in my heart he got me. I couldn't do anything to him.
Yeah.
We were both wrestlers.
Yeah.
He's out of Dan Henderson's gym, Team Quest.
Yep.
He was on after winning that, he goes to win 2 more fights and gets on the Ultimate Fighter with Conor McGregor. So I'm like, good for you, man, because I'm going to tell you one thing. I trained to kill you.
Yeah.
And I threw everything at you. And I went in the back. I was like, good for you, man. I gave you everything.
Yeah.
No excuse. No excuse. And that right there was one of my best victories going that far because I've never been pushed like that in a fight. I'm usually...
So even from the audience point of view, just what he just said, what you just said was, one of my best victories.
Yeah.
And it was an L.
Yeah. Oh,
Isn't that funny?
It was baptism.
That's armor, man. That's putting on the armor every day. You get an injury, you put it on every day and you wear it strong. You know what I mean? That's that military mindset. Even though you weren't in that military, but you have that mentality and you have that training, intensity. Like we went through, through buds or whatever the case may be. And that's the fun part about doing this podcast, where I can meet different people and you can have some very intense similarities, and somebody hasn't spent time in the military. But I mean, I tell you what, MMA is the closest to, anybody putting on, a uniform.
Yeah. I mean, you guys got to worry about a bullet coming to you. So making that mistake is one thing. Me, it's a broken nose. So if my hands are down and my coach is telling me, you got to keep that hand up, I'm not going to get mad at him for criticizing me. I was like, thank you. I got to keep my hands up.
There was
just
a guy,
to get better.
we'll have to find it later. And there was an MMA guy that was calling out like SEALs.
Okay.
And he was, man.
Sean Strickland, I think.
It was Sean Strickland.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And it was like, dude, it's like you're comparing apples to oranges.
Yeah, it's different.
And there was a team guy that got on. It was super articulate. Yeah. The guy was just like, hey, man, you're a great fighter. And the guy had a very good, I responded to him. He responded back to me. He's a lot younger than I am. But, it's apples and oranges. Yeah. And he said, hey, man, you train really, really hard. But it's different. Like if you're not even a remotely decent swimmer and I tied your hands and feet, I'm telling you, you're quitting. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could do the comparison is that guy who did that video, he went out, he went to war, he came back. Sean Strickland got knocked out by Alex Pereira. Yeah. You died, bro. Yeah. If there was no ref there, you're gone. You don't even have that video. Yeah. So. Yeah.
I'm totally in for the promotions and getting likes and getting followers and things like that. But it was fine. Yeah, yeah. But like you're saying, and that's the cool part about when I get to interview people like yourself, and I'm so intrigued with the MMA stuff because I've never I've done jiu-jitsu and stuff like 15, 20 years ago, and I tell people all the time, and you guys come in as patients, it's like, man, if Doc had to start rolling and somebody does an arm bar, the next day I got no arm to adjust somebody. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, there goes that dead arm, and Doc's got to, go on disability, he gets beat up. But
yeah.
But it's just like I have the utmost, respect for you guys, because I love, watching that, because I came from that when I was a younger guy in the military.
Yeah.
We used to do smokers.
Gotcha.
All the time, put some headgear on and just hammer each other.
Let's see who got it.
Oh yeah, it was for no reason whatsoever. If somebody pissed you off, put on the gloves.
It's easy to do it in like your 20s. Now in my 30s, I'm like, how much am I getting paid?
Yeah.
How long do I have to train?
But here's the thing too, is like, you're never going to stop doing something. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
And, mark my word, you will never stop. But when it is one of those things, and that's what I take, even to these podcasts and things like that, I'm 60 and change, but I'm still competing in, physique contests.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still pushing some heavyweight. Mm-hmm. Is it like I was when I was in my 20s, or you knowing when you're in your 20s and you're in your 30s, 10 years later, big difference. And then me being 60 and change, but I'm not going to stop.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean?
There's always ways around it to keep on moving.
To keep, because it's like, I tell people, it's like, life is like a running river, right? If it's running smooth, it's running clean, you can drink out of it. But life shouldn't be like a stagnant pond.
Yeah.
Right? Because then it festers. You got mosquitoes, it's algae.
You don't
can't
use it,
drink.
you'll lose it.
And it becomes, festering and disease, if you will. No pun intended, but out of a pond you can.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Same with the body. As long as you're running like a running river, the extent of your life, you keep body mass on. There's the research I was just reading on. The more body mass you keep on your body, the less chance of cancer.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap, that's weight training.
Yeah.
That's, speed and agility and functional conditioning and whatever.
Yep.
And then the other part is the fuel. It's just the gas. What type of gas you put in your body.
Yep.
Just like a machine.
Crappy stuff or the good stuff.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, it's one of those things people give me, a hard time. They go, I talk about better bad. And they go, Doc, what do you mean better bad? All the, no pun intended, all the shit you eat is bad.
Yeah.
But what is the better bad? So pick better choices.
Yeah.
So then if you say, hey, listen, McDonald's, Burger King, all bad. But if you had to go, you're on a trip and you got to pull in somewhere, you got 2 places to go. I would probably say Burger King's better than McDonald's.
And then if you're at Burger King, the chicken or the beef?
There you go. And you just break it down, funnel it down. Like if you go to Chipotle, I never put sour cream on it.
The soda or the bottled water in your car.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? So now people go, damn, Doc, now I got you in my head every time I go to a restaurant, even a restaurant. I'd probably rather have fish before I'd have chicken, before I'd have beef. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But if it's one of those things I haven't had beef in a while, I'm going to pick a better cut. Probably do a filet mignon before I do like a New York.
Yeah.
Right? So now your life just, you're going to be going downhill. Like, damn it, I got Doc in my head again.
I was, a couple weeks ago, me and my buddies and our girls go to Eureka Burger, and I'm in fight camp. This is probably 3 weeks before the fight, and they're all having beers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't have a beer, but something that's naughty in my head to me is a soda.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a nice tall
that
Pepsi.
little bit of sugar.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm still getting my little bad kick, even though the soda for me, I could still perform and run on the treadmill tomorrow morning.
And burn that right off.
The beer I could not.
No, not as much, because it's more dense. You know what I mean? So we because the beer is a more complex carbohydrate. Yeah. And then the sugar is going to go to your brain, really, to be honest with you, when you have to wait to work out the next day. The Cokes, while you walk to your car, that sugar burnt off.
Floyd Mayweather was known for that.
Yeah.
He'll have big old Coke and McDonald's after. I don't know about the McDonald's, but he'll have the Coke.
Yep.
Right after the workout. It's like all that sugar you need. It's like, yeah, I know, but still, you can get it from better sources.
So here's another one, too. I tell people all the time is on the better bad, if you're going to drink a Coke, drink the Mexican Coke. You know why?
What's Mexican?
The glass ones? Made in Mexico?
Okay. Why?
Because it has cane sugar. Doesn't have corn syrup.
Yeah, it has the real stuff.
The real stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll guarantee you put a 12-ounce Coke in a can.
I thought you were going to say it has still the Coke.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, no. And it was back in the day, right? In the early 1900s.
That's what I heard.
No, it's honest to God true. So if you took a regular aluminum can, regular Coke that has corn syrup, and then you have I call them the Mexican bottle Coke because they're made in Mexico. I don't even think we make them here.
Yeah.
And you have the glass one, 12-ounce, almost guarantee you, by the time you drink the can, you're still thirsty because the corn syrup doesn't go to your brain that says I got sugar because it's an artificial.
Better bad.
Cane sugar, you can't even hardly drink the glass before at the end you're like, man, I'm good.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So it's a little more expensive, but on the aluminum one, you're probably going to drink 3 of them by you go, oh, I think I'm full. Now you just got the liquid in there. You just want that little sugar high, little sugar kick.
Just that kick.
So they're a little more expensive, but I told myself, I don't spend my money on a lot of other junk. Well, if I'm going to do a junk, I'm going to do a good junk.
The right
way. The better bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, try it sometime. Do a little test and say yourself. And they do taste different too. And it's just sometimes I'm a cheapskate because now they just sell you these corn syrup drinks. You can buy 12, 24, 30, 36 cans for, $9.99. You know what I mean? And because they just want to get rid of it. Yep. But the really good ones, on the better bed is a little more expensive. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, question for you: how did you do in when you were wrestling at NAIA? How'd you do there in college?
I did okay. I ended up coming back after 2 years. I came back for Christmas break, got into a little bit of trouble, went back for one more semester, then I had to come back. I was being a little reckless in my early 20s, so had to come back. It was good. I wrestled a lot of open tournaments, and I was 120. 119 Wayne. Yeah. As a freshman in college. Yeah. These guys were cutting from 140. These are like grown men. Huh? Yeah. So I was like, sheesh, this is a lot. And it wasn't until I was like 22, 23, I started gaining more and more muscle. So I didn't hit 130 pounds. So I was maybe like 24. Wow. I'm so consistent in working out all the time. And I never lifted weights. I did every now and then, but not to where I wanted to gain weight and build strength. I was never trying to up my PR in chest press or my pull-ups or nothing like that.
At 32, do you do that? Do you hit a little bit of weights? Yeah. I know you've been in and out of here a couple of times over the time.
Yeah, so like 26 and up, I've been hitting heavy. Weights, yeah. I've started to learn, it's like I can only do so much. I can only get so much better in my technique in the martial arts. Right. How can I improve the technique? Well, I can add more skill because for me, it's when I cut to 125s, it's the size difference. These guys are cutting, but for some reason, they're so much bigger. They walk around 160, 165. I'm only walking around 150, heavy.
And going down to 25?
Yeah. Well, this last fight, I cut to 135s. It was 4 years since I've made 25s. I didn't want to push it too much. Yeah. So
we talked about it before we got on the show here, just the fact we were talking about the physiological aspect. And that's where the mind game comes in. And we were talking about before we were on the show here, is that if you put a scale and a scale, if you put Johnny on one side, Bobby on the other, and it's 145. Yep. Well, first of all, 2 guys on the scale, there's nothing about them that's any different except they start off at 145. Then from there, you take them off, you put them back on. We're going to talk about physiology. Well, who lost the water weight to lose, whatever? Yeah. Now we talk about the physiological aspect of how water affects the body mentally and physically. Yeah. Now you're 145 and he's 145, but then you didn't have to lose as much weight. Yeah. Right? So my personal opinion from a physiological point of view, I'm sure we could research this, that you have still hydration, your body's still full of some water. Yeah. You're not dehydrated. We talked about the brain, right? The fluid in there, if you dehydrate, it goes throughout the whole body. Yep. And then the chances of, and you explain that to me, just to the audience. Yeah, it's with the different. Water and then the brain. Like it's different. Your analogy.
Well, so the analogy is if your brain is sitting in your skull like a cereal bowl, and you put a little bit of water in it, and you put a ball in it, that's where your brain's floating in. Well, if you don't have enough water in that brain is smacking everywhere. It's easier to get knocked out. Yep. And then going back to the weight cut, amateurs, let's say 559 fights or any amateur promotion. You'll weigh in Friday at 11 a.m. and you fight Friday at 7 or 8 p.m. Yeah. So that window of rehydrating is so short. You have to do it, like for me, I would have to lose a lot more muscle and a lot more body fat so that my dehydration window is a little smaller. Yeah. But as a pro, we weigh in Friday morning and we don't fight till Saturday night. Yeah. So mentally, I probably could have did 125s, but the performance the next day wouldn't be too good.
But you weighed again? You're not weighed again?
No. Yes. There's some promotions do have a clause. So if I back when I was fighting for Combat Americas at the Save Mart Center, I would weigh in at 125s Friday morning, but they do have a dehydration clause where you can't be over 138.
Oh, check.
But here's the thing. You get that Save Mart Center at 4 p.m. Saturday, and I'm 138. Okay, sounds good. I weigh in. Then I go sit in the back for 3 hours. Guess what I'm doing?
Hydrating.
I'm hydrating. Hey, that's part of the rules. That's part of the rules.
So what do you think you would come in, would you ever think in your mind, another 5 pounds?
If I weighed in at 125, I'm walking in at 140.
No way.
Yeah, C-way.
That is awesome.
I got that from my dad.
Yes. Yeah,
That's
awesome.
Yeah, and you know what? It's you kind of you don't want to bet on that. Like, oh, I'm going to cut down to 125s and get back up high.
Yeah.
You just want to feel good. And there's a whole, like we call it shaking out the cobwebs. So if I weigh in Friday morning, all Friday I'll just relax and rehydrate my body, get a lot of electrolytes, a lot of salts in me. Yep. Saturday morning I'll meet up with my training partners at Halo, get a little shakeout, get that sweat, get that water back in and sweating out. Just a light workout. And that's probably from 9:30 a.m. to about 10:30 a.m. Then from 10:30 a.m., I'm just on autopilot, relaxing, filling my head up with good music, scripture, anything I need, until 8:30 p.m. Then I'm getting my body warmed up, ready to go. And then I'll do like 5 hard sprints, and then I'm in there 20 minutes later. But a lot of people don't get the warm-up in, so then their adrenaline in the cage goes, and then they don't get their second wind in time.
Well, it's a really good point from that, because then it goes back to the physiological aspect, where you got the endorphin release with a couple of sprints, right? So you again, I'm gonna use your term. You kind of shake out the cobwebs. Yeah. You get a couple of sprints, and you get the endorphin release. You get the heart pumping. When you go into the cage, finally, you don't get that adrenaline boost as easily because you just ran a couple sprints.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Obviously, you got the whole mental stuff about the fight and how you're going to orchestrate your fight itself. Yeah. But just from a physiological, you already started the engine. Yeah. You already got it in first gear. Yeah. Where a lot of guys don't do that, huh?
Well, I learned that from wrestling. We would all the wrestlers from all teams, if they have a Doc Buchanan tournament or anything, you see all the schools there, they all went, and wrestling is nuts because these kids probably cut the same amount as the adults. They weigh in at 6 a.m. Wrestling starts at 8 a.m.
Oh, my God.
So they're weighing in at 6 a.m. They have an hour to hydrate. Then they have to go warm up to get those cobwebs out because you're going to war in like 20 minutes. So that's where I learned that from.
They keep the weight. They give good reins on you.
They want to walk around all season within 5 to 10 pounds because you cannot.
You're weighing in day of an event 2 hours before.
Yeah, and like the best of the best, like the state champs or whatever, they could cut a lot of weight and they'll get the fishes, the weaker guys in the beginning.
Over the tournament.
But then the next day when they come back, they have to make the weight again. So they have to be they have
like
to be
a 2-day, 3-day tournament.
They have to make weight every single morning.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And it's horrible because you even have to perform being conscious of your weight because you don't want to get up too much. Then you got to drop that weight back down after that night because you got the tournament tomorrow morning for weigh-ins.
So if you said to yourself, okay, I'm going to rate myself, I'm an A, B, C, D, whatever wrestler.
Okay.
At a high school, college, you were A
being the best?
A being the best.
C.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And
because you're doing very well in the MMA world right now. Yeah. So, but you got a good foundation, right? We're talking about blocks, bricks and mortars. Yeah. The mortar stuff is your coaches now and things like that. Do you think it was some of your coaches that brought you, like what brought you into the MMA?
Okay, you ready for that? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, with the brick and mortar thing that you're talking about, I see some of the clubs nowadays and I see their coaching and I see it's more of a, you're going to do this. Right. You're going to win. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And it puts in the kid, when I was in high school, my parents always supported me. My dad was strict on me when it came to chores, when it came to respect. When it came to wrestling, I'll pick you up, I'll drop you off. You need anything from me, let me know.
He wasn't what they call him, helicopter?
Yeah, most dads.
Dude, and wrestling is, I think, the worst.
And those were the kids that were beating me.
Yeah. Oh, really?
The kids who had their dad pushing it on them. Those were the ones that were beating me. And I was getting mad because why is this guy beating me? I'm trying hard. But now I see them as adults. I'm like, oh, you didn't even want to do it. You were forced to do it. Yeah. That's why you were beating me. I'll get you now, though. And I try not to think like that.
No, of course.
And I feel like I was lucky to have such a good balance with my dad. Mm-hmm. He had a rough childhood, and I'm glad he wasn't spoiled. Because if he was spoiled, I'd probably be even more spoiled. Yeah. So
that's a really good point.
He raised me very, very good, and not to where I had to do wrestling.
Right.
I actually wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I loved the way it made me feel. I loved knowing that last year I was getting whooped by this guy, but he took the summer off, and I pressed the summer, and then I can win. Yeah. Man, how I could be more aware of time, like within months, not within seconds. Because nowadays, I call Uber Eats. I want it right now.
Yeah, that's our society.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard to not undo.
Well, we have, social media and the phones and computers.
Yep.
And
I want that dopamine. I'm gonna post a
away.
good picture and get that dope. I'm not gonna run the treadmill.
Yep.
And that's very hard to do. So I mean, my uncle showed me also about what I needed to do in wrestling, and I went to state. I made it to state my senior year. I didn't place. I was one match away from placing, and then after that, I went to college. But I think the longevity, I didn't get burnt out from it because my dad didn't pound it on me.
Are there any guys right now in your circle from your age group that you wrestled with that are MMA fighters?
No.
No way.
No.
Really?
No. They all coach.
Cool.
They all still coach and stuff, but no.
Isn't it ironic, you say to yourself, how the development goes? Like I was one of those kids, small kid, graduated 155 pounds, was a B+ soccer player, ran track just because, played baseball. My senior year, I got cut because those guys younger that can hit the ball better than I could. So I was not that guy.
Yeah.
But ironically, then you join the military and you get that man mentality. You know what I mean? And then, I've been blessed to, I've been through one of the, craziest programs and spent 6 years in the military. But, and that in the back of your head, you're like, I wonder what those guys are doing now. Those high school buddies of yours, bro, right? And in my age group, some of them aren't even around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's the difference between getting it shoved in your face and developing the gratitude of it. Like, man, I don't have to do this. I get to do it.
Yes.
And it's such the way you look at things is the perspective.
I'm going to say a little props to Paul's dad, actually right now, because, you're definitely blessed, to have a dad like that, that was like, hey, bro, I'm going to bring you whatever you need. You need some new shoes? Oh, your shoes wore out? We'll get you shoes. I'm going to drop you off, pick you up. When you're outside, I'm going to pick you up. How'd you do today? Did good, Dad. Great, son. Let's go get you some food.
Yeah.
And it was like, but he was always that rock, you support. If anything ever happened, you could go to him for whatever, but he's not going to be that helicopter guy. You know what I mean?
I wanted this sound system when I was a senior. And he goes, if you place that state, I'll get it for you. So I made it to state. And I get there a match away, crying everything. I get back home, it was right there.
Oh, dude.
Like,
that's awesome. It gives me goosebumps.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Because he always has my back.
Because it's funny because I'm going to have to steal and add this to my repertoire of comments and things like that. But, you got your victory out of a loss.
Yep. Just like how I did with the only loss I had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's unbelievable because a lot of people, they don't realize that.
Yeah.
Take your losses and then take it as a victory because then what you're going to do is because the victory is not then because you lost. The victory is you're going to take information from that loss to be successful in the future.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And you have the dad that's there for that type of stuff too. It's like, hey, bro, you did as best you can. He put your expectations as high as he possibly could for you because he wants the best for you. But he knows that you did the best you could. And with that, you deserve, the reward.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? What he gave you.
Well, with and I try to take that mentality with my personal training because a lot of the, all the dads see me go and fight, so they want to put their kid with me.
Right.
And it's like, man, how can I show this kid the gratitude? So let's say you have a gym here, so let's go 10 push-ups, 10 squats, and 5 med ball slams. And I tell this 10-year-old kid, hey, I want to see how fast you can do 10, 10, and 10.
Yeah.
Let's say he does it in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think you could get it in 50 seconds. I think you could cut 10. So in his head, he realized what effort he did for a minute. He has to go a little bit harder.
Exactly.
So then he does the 50. He gets 47 seconds.
Yeah.
So I'm like, good job, dude, but I think you could get 40.
Yeah.
And he gets 40.
Yeah.
And I'm like, see, look, this is what your dad wants. He doesn't want you to do the minute because you kind of halved it a little bit.
Yeah.
He wants the 40 seconds. And if you don't get the 40 seconds, that effort, even if you lose, he's going to see that effort and you're going to get anything you want from him.
Because it's going to be 42, 43, 39, 45 on the third set or whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think my son played a little college ball and things like that. And, I think we worked on that too. It's like if I saw the effort, you know what I mean? And I was definitely, I understood the concept of a helicopter dad.
Yeah.
I was a guy sat in the bleachers, kept my mouth shut.
Yeah.
If you had a good day, had a good day. If you had a bad day, had a bad day. But where we would regroup was in the car.
Got it.
On the ride home, we'd be traveling, traveling baseball, traveling, wrestling. Yo, bro, how'd you do today? Oh, Dad, I struck out this. Hey, it's okay, but you had a good day. Well, what are we going to do to fix it? Okay, we're going to hit batting lessons, the next day. Or like with your kids, you're training. Okay, we didn't get to 40, but man, great job today. Exactly. Knuckles, this and that. Hey, go home, great job. But then he or she, whoever you're training, is going to come back the next time knowing that, man, the coach believes in me. Mm-hmm. I know you can get 40 seconds.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's that goal, even if they don't make it. Oh, Johnny, that was a great day today. Just still positive affirmations.
Yeah, just to be aware of what effort is.
Mm-hmm.
Just effort. You're going to, even as a boy getting dumped, it's like, dude, accept it. Don't cry over it. Don't go try to fight the other boyfriend. Accept it, learn from it, and move on. You ain't going to get her back.
Yeah.
You know
That's how you use that comment, acknowledge it and move on.
And move on.
You know what I mean? Or you can do it the other way and go, accept it or change it. If you accept the fact that, you got dumped, you're in high school or whatever, you got dumped by the girl, and well, accept that fact and then make a change to find somebody better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or sometimes you got to change yourself.
Yeah, amen.
And that's even harder.
And that's the thing where you got, man, that's a great comment because a lot of people don't, reflect within.
Yeah.
And they look at, and that's with our society, man. And you're at that cusp to where, cell phones weren't big when you go up in school.
No,
you know what I mean?
Only in college it started getting bigger.
And what's happening now is you're reading this research that they talk about addictions, right? It could be drugs and alcohol and whatever. The phone.
Dopamine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
On the phone, they did some studies with little kids. They have the little kids on the phones for a while, and then the researcher takes the phone away. The kid has a fit, has a breakdown, whatever. That is basically like, what do they call it? When you're jonesing or you're having a reaction, to your detoxification, if you will.
Withdrawal.
Right? Withdrawal.
Yeah.
Right? They're having a withdrawal from this camera and what's going on.
Their baseline has been up so high of dopamine. It's like, bro, you got to bring that baseline down.
Yeah, and that cortisol just builds up in the body. So that's why, in this place here, in your place where you're training people too, is we want these kids to come in to get that endorphin release because they're so phone happy. I don't know, man, it could be a conspiracy theory. Who knows, whatever. But it's like we need to get these kids off the phone and at least get some sort of recreation in, and you're already working with kids in our gym in here. We're trying to do the same thing, but man, these phones are, and we all are. We're all
hard. Yeah,
we all are, guilty of it.
Yep.
But I think as adults, and you're in the fitness industry, I'm in the fitness industry and health industry, we kind of understand that. And as long as we get that little workout and we get that, the endorphin release, we're like, okay, we're combating the cortisol.
We're good.
You know what I mean? We should be okay.
I'm not rushing on the road anymore.
Yeah, well, the little kids are like, they're just jonesing with these phones. And I see, patients come in here and get treated and the kids, acting up, they give them the phone. It used to be like I don't even know what they have a little 2-year-old. His adrenaline's, come on, Johnny, let's do push-ups, But I forgot, I don't know, maybe my parents would just say, shut the hell up and sit down.
Yeah.
It was more discipline.
Doing something else. You're playing with something or playing outside.
Give him a toy or,
playing with your scab that you messed your knee up the other day,
Exactly. You don't need the damn phone, Give him a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go back to the, 20 years from ago and things like that. And that'll keep people, kids doing it. But
now we have those Oculuses. I've had one.
Have you tried those?
Oh, I had one. I had one in COVID and I was going deep. I was deep in it. I had like hardwood
My son's got
floor.
one. But
it's tight.
Do you play video games?
I do.
Yeah.
I play Warzone. On PlayStation.
PlayStation.
Yeah, I give myself about an hour and a half at night.
Yeah.
But that's it.
But there's nothing wrong with that because technically it's still a little bit of activity wise, where TV is not very active.
Yeah. A little hand-eye coordination,
Yeah, there's still a little bit of that.
Okay.
But I was obviously way after that. My son, he does straight A's in college. Mm-hmm. Still training in the gym. He's a big boy. Still trying to play baseball. But he'll get his hour or two and maybe sometimes more on a weekend just to.
Once I got my woman, I sold my Oculus. I sold the VR. I was like, you're better. Here, take it.
Yes.
Because, man, that's a different world.
Is it really? Yeah.
You're in a different world. Yeah. You put it on and you have a bulletproof vest, grenade,
or swords,
AK-47. No, I'm more of a war guy.
A war guy, yeah.
I like that. But
yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. I spent a lot of COVID hours in there.
It's funny because I think about society and there's bad things that go on in this world forever, right? It's just I think social media brings a little bit more to the surface, with bad people. Like, I tell people all the time when I was a kid, I was a hustler. We were very low middle class. We didn't have that much money. And you want something, hey, if my parents couldn't afford it, you better get a paper out. You better recycle some bottles. We lived in New York.
Sell garbage bags.
Dude, I used to go door to door. I swear to God, I used to go door to door to sell flower seeds for the spring.
Wow.
For people to plant in their gardens.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would sell light bulbs. It was like mail order stuff. You swear to God.
That's more Cuban stuff right there.
Right?
Yeah.
And I would also, too, is we lived on this big reservoir lake. So I don't know here in California if you can, you probably can fish at Millerton. I don't think there's anything in there, Millerton Lake. But back in New York, there's reservoirs. So they're all waterways that go into New York City. You can fish on them, but you can't put a motorboat on it. You can row.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So what we would do is the guys would come up from New York City to go fishing for the sunnies and the bluegills, right? The small little fish, and they'd fry them up. We would sell earthworms. So my brothers and I would go dig them in the dirt, we had 5 acres. And then we go to where the little parking areas on the lake, and we just have coffee cans. You know what I mean? So we were like, kind of hustlers.
Yeah,
but you had to, it was one of those things where work, in order for you to get what you wanted. The labor is what, my first 10-speed bike, I bought myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where kids nowadays, sometimes, they get things a little bit too easy.
Yeah.
And there's and listen, I'm guilty of my kids. But what my kids do, my kids are like straight A students, when they're all older now. But, I'd use that like your dad did. Hey, listen, you get this, I'll make sure you get that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but I think society's changed a little bit.
Yeah. And I also want to put it out there, I think that's where the Facebook came from, because I watched the Mark Zuckerberg movie. And I want to say he was attracted to this girl, but he didn't have the cojones to go and ask her.
Right.
So he made this website, so when all the kids in the school go on there, you have to put on single or not. So instead of having the cojones and go over there and ask her or get rejected, he went that route. And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't.
Geez, now it gets to what's the thing? I'm too old for this too. What is it? OnlyFriends? Now you got crazy stuff on there from Zuckerberg trying to get a girlfriend to now this crazy stuff that gets on the internet now. I'm like, oh my God, what has it gone in 30 years or whatever it is? It's just
scary.
Nuts. It's 30, we're not talking about 20 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
20.
Or less. It's crazy.
Imagine in 20 years.
From now. Oh my God, no. I don't even know. We'll probably have connections on our brains and,
Yeah.
geez.
Yeah.
Lenses on our eyeballs,
Yeah, I feel like those guys are so far from it. Because then even the Elon guy, I was listening to a podcast he was on with Joe Rogan. And him and the Mark Zuckerberg's into jiu-jitsu right now.
Trying.
Yeah. And Elon, they butt heads. And this guy's like, I'll take him. I don't even need training. Interesting. And then Joe Rogan's trying to talk to him like, you don't need any training? He goes, no. He's smaller than me. And then there's a 135-pound world champion, Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse, best in the world.
Yeah.
He's like, how do you think you'll do against him? And it broke me that Elon's like, I'll smash him. Man, a guy who can invent cars, put a chip in your brain and go to space still doesn't understand the physical.
No.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. And
that's tough.
Yeah,
you have no idea if that little dude grabs you.
No. Well, the guy here in town, Speedy.
Yeah, Gonzalez.
Gonzalez. I've known him, probably almost 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't care. There's some big boys that have just jiu-jitsu. He will kill you.
Yeah.
He will kill you.
And they know the sport.
Yeah. Yes.
Imagine the ones who
don't know.
It's
my God. I put him up at a 200-pound. Well, no, I'm sure Speedy's, as an instructor, he gives out he's part of a black belt program, right?
Oh, yeah. So I believe Angel's Halo Jiu-Jitsu is underneath them.
Underneath them, yeah. And Tingia.
Tingia.
Yeah. And then Speedy's under there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, a guy could, guy could come in at 200 pounds and he goes, I'll take anybody in here and then put Speedy on.
Videos,
I'm telling you, he would kill
tough.
people. So yeah. And that's sometimes maybe with, you get arrogant, you get to a certain place in your life and this guy's worth, more money than anybody in the world.
Yeah.
And then you can just make comments like, yeah, I think you went a little too far. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stay humble, right?
Yeah.
You know what you say? You always stay humble.
Stay humble.
You know, but yeah, it's crazy. I mean, what some of these guys have done nowadays. So from, you know, like a career point of view, let's go into, you know, which is awesome, you know, that we're on, and I get a chance to talk to you just almost right after the fight. We have the Valley Fight Series, which is a professional, you know, organization, correct?
They do a lot. They do the pancration, the kids pancration, jiu-jitsu, amateur MMA, and then they also have the pro MMA.
Yeah. So this was 2 weeks ago, right? 2
Yes,
weeks ago,
correct.
This week. Yeah, today.
Table Mountain.
2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, so I know how you did, but how'd you do?
Man, the story behind it, wait until I tell you.
Yes.
I did good. We came out, and I ended up knocking the guy out in less than 10 seconds. I didn't take any damage. Weeks before that leading up, we can say it now, I had a little rib injury.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when I came to you,
were
and
here,
I
yeah,
tried
for
to do
me
as
for
much as
treatment.
I can for myself, and you came in, I came to you, and, you know, you
I hope
fixed
it
me up.
helped. It helped out?
It did.
Oh.
It did.
Thank God.
The grappling was tough, so I try to stay away from the grappling and do more striking just until the fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't
8
want any
seconds.
accidents. So I get there early to the fight, and 5 o'clock, the whole venue's sold out. It's busy. I'm walking with my team. One of my training partners, I'm not going to throw him under the table. He goes underneath me. He doesn't know. He lifts me
Just
up.
motivation.
He doesn't know. His elbows cave my ribs, and he shakes me, and
Like
he goes,
getting you all pumped.
click, click, click.
Shut up.
And I flip out. All general admission is staring at me. I turn around because I didn't know who was behind me.
Mother.
Yeah, I turn red. I immediately go back to my room, and I'm stressing out. I'm like, Lord, whatever
Bro, I
happens,
should have been there
happens.
for you, bro.
Whatever happens,
Yeah.
happens. Yeah, so, and sure enough, I didn't have to wrestle. I didn't have to grapple. It was a blessing. It was a blessing.
Yeah.
Because it was bad.
When you see the video, and we'll get a clip for the show and everything like that, and the slow motion, just man, did you slip and then?
Yeah, so he was a bigger guy. He was a striker.
Yeah.
If you watch my videos, whoever fights me will watch my videos.
Of course, yeah.
I like to market myself,
Yeah.
so all of my videos, all my fights are on YouTube.
Hey man, get as much information you can. Come on.
My opponents don't. So this last guy, him and his coach think you're not seeing anything of us. So I barely only seen a couple of highlights of him knocking people out, which is whatever. So everyone knows I'm a wrestler. My only loss taught me so much that I depended so much on my wrestling. When it was time to strike, I'm trying to hit and not get hit, which worked against me.
Yeah.
So then I come back after my loss, and now I'm in the fire. This was 4 years ago.
So the last fight you had was a loss?
So I fought in December 2019. I ended up losing that one. I come back before COVID, so February 2020, because COVID hit March 2020. Yep. February 2020, after my loss in December, I learned I can't be afraid of getting hit.
Yeah.
I have to take one to give one.
Yep.
So then sure enough, I come in, and then it sets up my takedown because they're not worried about the takedown anymore. They're worried about striking.
Right.
So then I was able to take them down, and then I won. Then I had that 4-year, I would say, layoff, but I was just getting better. Yeah. I just didn't have a good opportunity.
Yeah, a lot of people just in every sport, during those 2 years or definitely the 2 years of deep, COVID, it was very hard for a lot of people to do anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and fight-wise, it was, slim to none.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But on this fight here...
He knew that I was going to wrestle.
Yeah.
So my mentality was go out there as hard as I can as a boxer. First. I got to go and get this guy's respect. Because if I just try to shoot right away, it's easy for them to sprawl.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And then in my head, I got this.
Yeah, that's true,
so
too.
I have to make this shot count. And the best type of double leg in a fight is when they're trying to hit you and then you come underneath.
Right.
If they're waiting for you and you try to shoot on them, they're going to sprawl and circle away.
Right.
So you have to catch them in the fire. So my goal was go into the fire 30 seconds, 45 seconds hot, hit him with some good stuff, let him know I'm here to bang.
Right.
And as he overextends, take him down.
And then you're probably going to be good to go.
Yeah.
But you also had the rib injury.
Yep.
Or re-injury or whatever. Yep. So you wouldn't even have known what would have happened if you shoot for a takedown.
Even now, I went back to jiu-jitsu the other day and my rib still bugs. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
on a side note, we'll get that taken care of this week.
Thank you. But yeah, it was a blessing. Like it couldn't have got better for me.
And did you see, like, obviously when you watch the video and when we post it on there, we'll do it slow motion and fast. Was it just one of those things you're in the mix, you just saw an opening?
No, shout out to my coach Rudy, a slick boxer. Yeah. We have been setting up this shot, this overhand right from the body. I realized that you have three options. I can go for the head, I could go for the body, or I could go for the takedown. Okay. So the very first punch I threw was deep to the body, and he circled left. He circled my left. He circled hard to his right, and I kind of missed it. Mm-hmm. Said, okay, he's circling hard. Let me go to the body again. And as I faked to the body, his uppercut was coming. I stepped out to the left, and my head came.
Yeah.
And then I came back with a three. But as a three was coming, he was already going down.
Yeah, that
I couldn't. Totally. I said, nope, he's not up. No, Boom, off the cage I go.
Off the cage right there.
So when he woke up, he asked me, "What'd you hit me with?" I was like, "I went to the body, then I fake low, and I came up high after."
Yeah. So now here's the thing too, which is pretty cool about your competitor. The guy who's going to take the loss, hopefully for the win. We're going to use that on this podcast. Take your loss for the win.
And Esteban Gonzalez, congrats to you, because I listened to a podcast he was in, and from his words, you know what? I kept my head in the center. Elizondo moved his head to the side. Good job. It was your night. And that type of attitude will keep you even higher. Instead of, it was a fluke, I shouldn't have done. It's like, take responsibility. Yeah. But props to him, because he's been sleeping his guys. Right. He's been sleeping them.
Yeah. And that's one of those things too, is that goes back to we keep going back to the podcast name, that warrior mindset. Yeah. Even your opponent that lost, he's asking for a critique from his battle buddy. Yep. You know what I mean? Because, you're, for the most part, and obviously it's a lot of show, and people do know that. It's just like wrestling.
But we need each other.
Exactly. And usually at the end, and correct me if I'm wrong, in some of the fights too, there's a little bit more camaraderie than, say, the audience knows.
Yeah.
You're going to have the hype in the way, and all the publicity and things of that nature. But a lot of times too, when it comes down to the end, and you see a lot of that when there's a fight that's lost, somebody gets slept, somehow knocked out or stroked out. Yeah. The guy that wins, he's down there on his knees, making sure his bro's, taken care of 99% of the time. Yeah. Then you have some a-hole fighters that just nobody likes.
Yeah. And I always try to, there's certain types of fighters where you can see, I think of it as the martial artist, the athlete, and then just the pure fighter. The guy who just wants to fight. And once I knock this guy out, the excitement, me jumping over the cage, I'm cheering, I'm screaming, and then once I jump back in, he's still down, barely getting up. That's when I'm like, hey, humanistic, dude, get up.
Yeah, the humanistic aspect of you.
Please get up.
Because it's a war, but at the end of the battle,
you still need
exactly, and you're still going to lift. And you see it all the time in the martial arts too. The winner will still lift up the loser's arm. Yeah, and say, hey, bro, good fight. Yep. You know what I mean? And in 99% of the time, the guys are going to bro hug and, congratulate each other. There's a lot of times there's whispers in ears that we as the audience don't see, but you guys are going to congratulate each other. Hey, man, good one. You just, I just got you in this one. Or, oh, man, hey, congratulations. Dude, I missed that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, one of the biggest things is the respect to even keep your word that once the contract is signed 3 months before, you rely on this guy to show up. Because, our boy Brandon Cash put in so much time. Yeah. And this guy shows up the day of the fight, causing drama. It's like, dude.
Oh, man. I heard the background on that. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's like, that's the type of guy you just blackball. Bro, you don't even deserve to be in this environment anymore. Because,
you don't want to be here. You don't want to be here. Yeah. You made so many excuses not to fight. You could have said this 3 weeks ago and give somebody to Brandon, a different fighter. Yeah. But you're so selfish. You didn't want to fight. You're too much of a coward to admit you didn't want to fight. Yeah. You're pulling out stuff just to get disqualified. But now you got poor Brandon Cash. You don't want to piss that big boy off, Somebody get a tranquilizer.
Yeah. And the funny thing about Brandon, too, is the guy works so hard. And I've known him for probably 15 years, too. Yeah. And I've, worked on him for that many years. And actually, I was at his fight. I was did some work on him before the fight. Okay. And things like, that was when he, you've known him for a while too?
No.
Oh, okay. He blew a pec. Oh. Pec and bicep insertion. I was there at the fight when that happened years and years ago. He had surgery and everything. But the dude's a warhorse. He'll keep going. The guy's like 40-something, probably 10 years 10 years or more older than you.
Wow.
And that's where you're saying the big boys, how they
They
last.
can go a lot longer. They don't have to do all the mobility and the agility and stuff like that.
And he was so ready this time.
Yeah. And then he got taken away from him.
Yeah.
So
and I'm sure there's something up, will come up for him.
Yeah. So then, knowing his situation, you'd actually thank your opponent at the end. Thank you for being professional. Thank you for showing up. You brought your ticket money. You made weight. That goes a long way.
Whether you win or lose,
yeah.
Everybody's still got that, competitor mentality.
Yep.
When it comes down to it, you know what I mean? A couple like the physique stuff I did, I competed with one guy last year, and it was 60 and over. And the guy was in great shape too.
Tower?
No, I did. I won that one.
I seen you at Tower, yeah.
Yeah, I won that one and my age group. And then I went to an age group lower. I went to the 50 and below.
Got it.
And this guy, Eddie, I forgot his last name, OG on Instagram.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know. Ed. I know his son.
His son is a trainer too.
Austin.
But that's one of those things where me and Ed were in the back, and he kind of told me at the Tower when we competed against each other, he beat me. He's 50 something, and I'm over 60.
Okay.
Jeez, I hate to say that, but we were in the back and we were just talking to Joe. He's, hey man, thanks for being so nice to me. He goes, that was I think his first contest or something like that. He competed with his son, and it was just so cool because we're the older guys.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and that camaraderie is there. But the one I did in San Diego, I was talking to the guy. He just came in a little bit bigger, and it was just like, hey man, I used to be a pro bodybuilder, and now he's just doing amateur stuff as a physique with the board shorts. And he walked around at like 235, came in at 205. I walk around, say 195, going in at 82.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I'm going to lose automatically to a thicker dude.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know what I mean? But there's a thing where we talked about it before. It's like, I don't go in and complain that I lost because the judges were looking for something different. And I'm good with that. I tell people, if you're going to cry, don't play that sport.
Yeah.
Play in a sport that you're going to be the winner or loser. If you're running a race, right, at the end of the race, they don't go, oh my God, the second place, he had really good shorts. We're going to give him the first place because he looked better than the first place winner. No, it doesn't work like that.
I know.
But anytime you come into a judgment industry, you can't complain because it's the judges are going to make that decision. That's why, like in your sport, if you got a decision against you, can't really complain because they go, bro.
You had 15 minutes to 25 minutes to take them out, dude.
One way or another, so you didn't. So you're going to go up to the judges, and some days chickens, like the Fox said, some days chickens, some days feathers.
Yep. With my wrestlers, they'll lose a wrestling match, and they'll throw their headgear and everything, kind of like the way I was, And I would tell them, where was all that energy right there?
Oh, my God. That's great.
The next time you lose like that, I don't want to see any type of dead energy throwing a pissy fit or anything like that. You lose and you're good. That's it. If you behave 100%, you should be okay with it. He was better. What are you going to do?
And then say, I'm going back to I'm stealing your stuff, bro. And then you take that kid and you go, okay, where was the win of that loss?
Yep.
Take away, let's dissect it. Let's break it down. You've gotten broken down many times by your coaches and going, nah, this isn't going to work. This is going to work. This isn't going to work. Oh, dude, what happened there?
Yep.
Like in say training, and somebody caught you. You go, damn, I don't know how I got caught on that one.
In wrestling, we call it the head and arm. So right when you shake hands, all these kids see one kid do it. They grab the head, they grab the arm, and they throw them, and it goes right into the pin. So one of my nephews, I go watch him with my other little nephew. We go watch him at school, and we see his other teammates win with that. But I don't show him that in my practices. So he comes up to me and goes, Paulie, I think I'm going to do the head and arm. I said, you better not do that head and arm. If you lose, you better lose not doing that head and arm. I need double legs. I need the real stuff, what real wrestlers do.
Yeah.
Because that head and arm stuff is only going to work to the weaker kids.
Yes.
We want to prepare for the better kids.
Yes.
And he lost, but I told him, good job. That's the way you lose, because you want to know what would happen if you did that head and arm? He says what? He said you would have grabbed his head, you would have grabbed his arm, you would have tried to throw him, he would have grabbed you and threw you. Because that guy was not going to get hit with that head. No way. Exactly. But if you lose, this is how you lose. You took double legs, you got stuffed, you kept wrestling, you lost it, you kept wrestling and fighting. That's how we lose. We get better like this.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It pisses me off how these coaches just do that and get the win so we can win today.
Yeah.
Bro, it's not about today, dog. It's not
well, you know what
about
the funny thing is? I used to do this with my son. And same with your athletes, too. It's one of those things. Say, for example, he's 8 years old. Right? And he's a little guy. And the coaches, I taught my son how to swing, hit lefty and righty.
Okay.
So I was a bleacher guy. It wasn't anything like that. And then I remember when he was really little, maybe 8, 9, 10 years old, and he's going to get up to the plate and he's batting lefty, and because it's a right-handed pitcher, right?
Okay.
So you want to bat that way because it's better for the batter.
Okay.
So if it's a righty pitcher against a lefty,
I don't know how you guys do that, man.
Yeah.
I tried it in middle school. I was like, you mean to tell me that guy's going to throw the ball as hard as he can, and I have this?
Yeah, it's a round ball and a round bat. You know what I mean? Let's just say one of the hardest sports to be physically able to do because, round ball, round bat, it doesn't, physics doesn't work, that well.
I wasn't even worried about hitting. I was like, he better not hit me.
Bro, exactly. That's what was when I was in high school, though I didn't progress any further because I wasn't a very good hitter. Okay. I could field like a vacuum cleaner, but I was always a little tentative.
Oh, man.
And when these things are coming at 95, 102 miles an hour, you're like, damn, dude, I'm going to try and hit this. Just don't hit me.
He's not on my team.
But from the coaching point of view is like, when we're talking about progress is when my son was learning how to swing lefty and righty, right? The coach would come to the fence. He goes, hey Joe, is your kid right-handed or left-handed? And I'm like, looking on the cage, oh, no, he's batting lefty here. Yeah, but he's not very good left-handed. He should be batting right-handed, which is his dominant side. I go, no. I told my kid, if it's a right-handed pitcher, he always stands on the left side. If it's a left-handed pitcher, he bats on the right-handed side. And he goes, yeah, but he's really not that good, hitting lefty. I go,
he needs practice.
I go, bro, have you seen him righty? He sucks righty too. He sucks both ways. Yeah. But it's like if you build him to do both ways the whole time, at some point the progression and they're going to get better at doing that. You know what I mean? So it was one of those things is where, I just tell him, we would get into the plan of, say he's 8 years old. I go, bro, because all the dads would try to make their kid the star wrestler, the star basketball player, the star, baseball player. I go, bro, you got 10 years. We're on the 10-year plan. Then the next year, we're on the 9-year plan. We would do the batting, we do the coaching, we do this. We're not trying to be, some MLB player at 10 years old. Then you're on the 8-year plan, the 7-year plan, the 6-year plan. Then you hit high school. Then we got the plan there to get, videos to colleges. So if the parents would learn to just take their kids and develop them along the way, there's going to be way less chance of burnout. You know what I mean?
I'm not ready to have that talk.
How many kids that you wrestled with, just quit during the season?
Oh, I've heard stories during my wrestling years. Mm-hmm. So my wrestling years, I've heard stories of state champions running away and sleeping on top of the school because it was too tough.
The pressure of the parents, the parents more so than I think the sport.
And the worst part, Doc, is I see the parents as like, if anybody needs to cut weight, it's like, why are you making this poor kid do all this? It's so tough. It's like how, and sometimes I think it's, and I don't have kids right now. Yeah. So knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't bite me in the butt. Yeah. It's more, I'm not going to do it. Have my kid do it.
Well, see, here's the thing, and I almost guarantee you, this date, we'll write it down and everything like that. I'm almost guaranteed you won't. You know why? Because you're a competitive athlete. You're a professional athlete. I think myself, the reason I didn't do it, as a former SEAL, I know where my mentality is. If my kid doesn't have that, I'm going to push them as much as I can to develop that. Mm-hmm. If they're not, I can't force them to be like my mentality. Yeah. You're not going to force your kid, son or daughter, to have your mentality. Yeah. You know what I mean? If they do get it, we're gonna develop, we're gonna nurture it, we're gonna put, potting soil and nutrients into our kids to make them better. Yeah. But there's something about as they develop when it finally clicks. Yeah. You know what I mean? And my kid was probably junior year in high school, where all of a sudden it was like he was 5 foot tall, 100 pounds as a freshman in high school.
Still bigger than me.
So it was like, of course, am I going to worry about him playing professional baseball? He's 5 foot tall. He's 100 pounds. There's no way. Yeah. Just keep, it's like, what is it? Finding Nemo. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. You just got to keep going. Just keep going. Because at some point, you're going to progress to the point where that adult guy, that adult girl thing's going to come in play. Now, you're 5'4", 5'5". We're not worrying about the height wise. We're worrying about the mental wise. Connor, ironically, my son got to like 6'1", almost 6'2", but junior year, the man started to come out in him, and he was like swinging the bat harder, running a little bit faster, and whatever. You're like, I didn't do that. I just supported him, and then it opened up like itself. Yeah. you yourself, your dad did exactly the same thing for you. It's like, hey, bro, I'm just going to keep you going. Hey, doing good? Need anything? Can I help you out with anything? Did you get enough food? Did you do this? Keep it. And then all of a sudden, really, I think probably more of the MMA stuff. Probably if you sat down with your dad, and go, oh, yeah, man, when you hit that MMA, how long have you been fighting?
23, 24. So, yeah, almost.
Almost 10 years. 10 years. Almost 10 years. Yeah, so at that, and now is your dad still involved with some of the stuff you do with the MMA?
Yeah, so well, no, not really. He was just a fan. I would only bring him into the night of the fight. Mm-hmm. Sometimes he'd come and help me, maybe be the timer or something like that. He's never he loves UFC. Yeah. So whenever there's a fight, my last fight, I ended up winning, and he was with my nephew, and that was in 2020. Mm-hmm. And after I won, I point at both of them, and I tell my nephew, come in. Yeah. And my dad was waiting for my dad was waiting for himself to go in. Yeah. And I didn't call him. So my nephew comes in, and me not thinking, you know. And my dad always gave me that joke for the past 4 years. I wish I was in there. I made him my cornerman this time.
No way.
And I got him in there.
Nice.
I was like, there you go. I got you. Because, I want to make, him feel special, because I owe great gratitude for him for giving me the perfect amount of salt, perfect amount of pepper for me to be who I am today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's hey, well, shout out to your dad too, man. And that's another thing. We talk about that warrior mindset. When you can step back to yourself and say to yourself, these are the people that helped me out through my life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? A lot of people get to a certain level, and then they're not thankful to anybody else because they think that they're the ones that did everything themselves. Yeah. You know what I mean? This life does not work if you're solo.
That was me.
Oh, really?
In my 20s. So? Yeah, that was me hard. From 24, I got into it for the love of it. Yeah. My creator, I feel like I need to do something hard. I've been blessed. All these kids some of these kids are disabled. They don't have the opportunity to do this. I have to do it just a little bit because I want to also. Yeah. But in my later 20s, maybe 27, 28, I started going, I want to do it for the money. I want to do it for the partying. I transformed a little differently, and I caught myself a couple times, got into a little bit of trouble. And then when COVID hit, some of us had to go away by ourselves. And I started digging deep, like, why am I really doing it? What do I really want to do here? And that opened me up a lot. I started hanging out with different people. I started bringing in my family a little bit closer to me. And now my inner circle is locked and tight. Yeah.
They call it the bullseye effect, right? So you got inner circle. The bullseye effect is who's in the red dot. Those are the most important people. Yep. Then we have relationships outside the bullseye. Yep. You know what I mean? And the idea behind it is that red dot is small for a reason, because you want to keep that circle tight with the people that are really there for you. Yeah. A lot of people on the outside of the circle, right? And that,
it looks like they're there for you.
The target, it does, but it just, it just doesn't. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, but that's, I mean, I'm a firm believer, Christian guy, believe in God, and I believe we're all put on this earth for certain reasons. You know what I mean? I've been blessed I get to lay hands on people every day. You know what I mean? I get to put my hands on people to try to help and heal them. Mm-hmm. That's a freaking unbelievable task, and I take it with huge amounts of respect. Yeah. As an athlete, as a fighter, as a warrior, you know what I mean? You have that calling, in my opinion, and I'm kind of pulling it out of you here, I think is, you want to help the younger generation. You want to help kids. You want to give them that motivation. You want to give them, that foundation, you know what I mean, to be successful in themselves. And the way they do that is through, athletics. Yeah. And these are the kids, obviously, from wrestling or MMA and jiu-jitsu and all that type of stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I had a parent come up to me a couple of weeks ago and was like, thank you so much. My son never stuck up for himself, but after doing 2 months with you, he finally got in trouble. He got into a fight. He did this, he did that. And I'm like, yeah, that's good. The goal for me, good thing he stuck up for himself. The goal for me, though, is for him to have this confidence where that bully knows, don't pick on me.
Right. And I think
that later it will
progress.
Happen.
Yeah. Oh no, my God. Yes. You know what I mean? But, man, that's then yourself that that there's a calling that you have in yourself. Mm-hmm. And when you say to yourself, okay, I think I'm I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah,
here.
it feels good.
You know what I mean?
Can go to sleep.
Yeah.
Feels good.
And these kids are, because our society is different, man. Our society is different than when you grew up, than when I grew up. And, there are a lot of those kids out there that are bullies, cyber, this and that. And, you get those kids to open up to you, at the studio, at your facility, to where, hey, listen, anybody got any problems today? Let's address those things. And you get them to, it's at that comfort zone to where they can tell the coach anything. And it's like, okay, well, let me show you how to take care of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it's a cyber, whether it's at a school or whatever.
Yep.
But I like the comment that you had is where a bully won't even address somebody because they have, he or she, it's on both sides, that they have that air of confidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People tell me that all the time. Man, Doc, you always, when you walk into a room, you just, that you exude that confidence. Well, I know where I've been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not a cockiness, but it's just one of those things where it's a confidence because you want to go in feeling good about where you're going, whether it's a store, whether it's a conference, whether it's a fight. When you go in there, and I'm sure there's posturing all the time. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, and then I'm a MMA fighter, a smaller one.
Yeah.
So you got like the bigger guys, get a little bit of beers in them. I think I could take you, but let Brandon Cash be here. They're not going to say that to him.
No.
So I deal with it all the time. I'm like,
that's a good point.
you know what? You're right, bro. You can take me. And it messes with them because then I walk away.
Yeah.
Or like my woman is a little taller than me, and I love it because this world says I'm not supposed to have her.
Yeah.
But what now?
Yeah, bro, man, man.
You know what I mean?
That's not true.
Well,
that's
I mean,
not true.
it looks a little,
Yes.
but I love it. It's cool with me, but it's different. It's definitely tough. Or even like
that's a really good point.
Like a mental callus. Like when I first started fighting, my mother would go on YouTube and see all the comments that people would say about me, and I'm like, Mom, these guys are only on their computer. They don't do what I do.
They
don't ever. Don't jump into it with these guys.
You get caught.
Yeah, like they're watching me. I'm on the soccer field playing. They're in the stands.
Yes.
I expect them to do that.
Yes.
You have to let it go, and you as my mother have to let it go.
Even more.
Yeah, because it's tough. But
I
even had to prepare my girl for because my girl's never seen me fight.
Yeah.
And I told her, look, I don't know what's going to happen. You have a front row ticket. It's going to be either 15 minutes of war or I'm going to get this guy out. He's not going to finish me.
Yeah.
But I'm just preparing you. And there was a couple times we went to jiu-jitsu tournaments, and we went to one in Vegas. And the night before, all the black belts competed.
Yeah.
So they probably went to go party a little bit. So I did jiu-jitsu the next morning.
Yeah.
So I had no coach.
Where you at right now? Purple, yeah.
So I had no coach. And they were all sleeping. So the referee's like, where's your coach at? And I pointed at my woman. She's right there.
Oh, my God. No.
So I tell my girls, like, hey, look, if it's an arm bar, a knee bar, I'm going to tap. But if he's choking me, I'm going until the lights go out.
Okay.
This guy, sure enough, has me in a triangle, Doc. And I'm like, oh, I remember what I told her. I'm not tapping. And sure enough, for like 2 minutes, I'm fighting this guy. And I finally get out. But I seen stars. It was getting dark.
Did you win that one?
I won it. Yeah, I won it.
Oh, was that a point or?
It was punt. It was points. It was points. Yeah.
On that one there.
But I just remember, like, I shouldn't have opened my mouth. Shouldn't have opened my mouth to her.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I'm fighting it, but yeah, it's tough. You gotta take it if you're gonna sign up for it. Be ready to take the loss for it.
But also too is you're doing a good thing. You got guys that these young kids that look up to you. You're a smaller guy, but have done really well in your fighting career and wrestling career. Is that these kids can go to themselves, okay, mom and dad are small people. They know they're not going to be a giant like Brandon, but they go, yeah, I can have that air of confidence and feel like I can, take care of myself, but then also too is tell them, hey man, it's not about the fighting. It's about how you can walk away and still have dignity.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because, anybody can scrap, but it's when you walk away is when you're going to really embarrass the bully.
Yeah. Because even when those guys say, I think I could take you, it's like, well, I'm with my girl here. What am I going to do? Fight this guy?
Yeah, right?
I prove a point and then I don't get to go home with her?
Right.
I got to go to jail or something?
Exactly.
It's like, man, you got it, dude. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone.
If we were to say like where you feel you're being, say 5 years from now, would you like to be at the show? Like you think do you have it in you?
No, I think I'm more of a family man now. I think I'm ready to put on my...
congratulations on that. Dude.
Thank you. Thank you. I
on
appreciate
camera, we hear
it.
that, and not a lot of people say that. So,
Well, I've had the other side, and I've lost to it, and it's like, I can only get so far, and once I use it all up. I know it's like, man, there's something more to this. And that's when COVID hit for me.
Right.
And that's when I became, more closer to my Lord Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
He helped me so much, showing me a little bit more. I kind of give the analogy to my dad. Like, my dad wants the effort from me. And if he sees my effort, I'm going to get that stereo, whether I win or lose.
Yep.
And if I give my effort, I know my Lord's going to take care of me.
Yeah.
And man, there's nothing better than a 6-second knockout.
Yeah.
I could leave on my white horse right now.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, no, man. And he'll take, I'm telling you, like, I'm a firm believer myself, and it's one of those things, he'll take good care of you. And I'm sure you'll get to that, whatever level you want until you go, okay, listen, I'm out of the competitive field, but you're already building that foundation, that warrior mindset to help children, young adults. I see, obviously you probably do too, is where you can make a difference on the next generation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of a good calling, because a lot of people, after they get done fighting, they don't have that foundation of where they want to be. And, here, and it's not easy working with kids.
No.
Believe me, it's like herding cats, but yeah, that's awesome. If you were to say to yourself at 34 years old, and you were to talk to yourself at 18,
Ooh.
and you were to tell yourself, and listen, I want to give you some advice, my 18-year-old self at 32, what would you tell yourself?
Chase everything you want. Go ahead, burn yourself out, because at the end, once you have it all, you're going to realize it's all material. It's not going to be worth it, but you're not going to realize it until you have it all. So go ahead and have it. And I did. At 27, 28, I had the girls, I had the money, I had the alcohol, I had everything I want, I had the car. And, it just got me into trouble, and I ended up feeling worse to myself. Like, what is it? What is my purpose here? And that's when I started getting deeper into my faith. I've always had it. I went to catechism as a kid. My parents put me in it. And I
was
knew.
the altar boy and everything.
Yeah, I knew if I had
Hispanic side, I'm the Irish guy.
Yeah, there you go. And whenever you have a nightmare, you say the Lord, our Father prayer, and that's it. You're good. But I never, until I got older, my daily bread, it just big life changer for me. Which is like, now you see some of these adults saying wild things to these kids, and it's like, hey man, if you can say that, I gotta let them know the other side. And not only do I gotta let them, I gotta live it.
And also too is that you're building kind of like your own, building a temple. You know what I mean? Hey, listen, God wants you to, take care of your body, mentally and physically. And also too is, you're here to shepherd other people. Yeah. Right? And it seems that's kind of a calling you have, because you have this idea that you want to help develop young kids, spiritually, mentally, physically, and et cetera. And, that in itself is its own calling. You know what I mean?
And when it comes to that, Doc, I had two different wrestling coaches in high school. One of them never worked out with us. Always ate in front of us when we're cutting weight. Oh my God. But we still did the same workouts. But then I had another coach. His name was Adam Berry. He did the workouts with us. Yeah. He ate clean. He was telling us, before we even knew about cold plunges, get up in the morning, take a shower, and right before you're getting out, when your body's washed, turn it on to cold and breathe hard. We're like, whatever. Yeah. Till this day, he coaches at Clovis North now. Until this day, he was my favorite coach, because even though I did it with the other coach, my workouts, when he was in it, we did the same thing, but the attitude, the effort, the spirit was so much different. Yeah. So different. It's like, I want to be that. Yeah. That's what I want to be. Yeah. So whenever these kids see me, and that's why I put out this documentary that just came out and stuff, because I did little documentary clips before, and that's when I was in my late 20s partying and stuff. And, I would say things on there, and these kids would repeat it to me. I'm like, interesting. Yeah. This time I'm going to do it different. Not to prove a point, but like I'm different, and I feel way better with my lifestyle now than I did before.
And it's funny because, you are going to be a mentor for the young kids coming up. But also, too, as the coach who's now at North, is a guy that you look up to and said, and this guy's still coaching, a little bit older than you. I think people in their life should look forward to somebody in their walk of life that is older, whether they're in shape, whether it's fitness, whether it's entrepreneurship, motivational. Always strive to be as good as somebody that's ahead of you.
It's too hard.
for people. That's true.
I don't want to put in the work,
Yeah,
though. It's too
that's
hard.
true. Isn't it true?
I have a phone that's going to do it for me, Doc. And
That's
it's
true.
like, how do you challenge
Balance
that?
it.
Yeah. It's like,
There was a guy when I was in SEAL team. His name was Rudy Bosch, since passed away. The guy was 50 years old, 52 years old, still in the SEAL team. Now he's doing administrative stuff, and the guy would still try to get the runs done. I'm 20 years old. 20 years old.
Okay.
I'm like killing it. PT guy and all this type of stuff. But Rudy would still always be out there. He was on that first original show, Survivor.
okay.
First one on there.
Oh,
He was
wow.
a former SEAL.
I think I watched that show.
Yeah, he's since passed away. But I said to myself, I'm, for argument's sake, easy math. I'm 20, he's 50. And this guy's in back of the line, but he's barking, and he still do the swim. Every morning get up at PT. We do an obstacle course, we do a swim, we do a run. One of the things would come up, we do it as a whole team, and then we could PT on our own. Rudy was always there. I said to myself, you know what, when I'm 50 years old, I want to be in as good shape as Rudy is, right? When I hit 50, was a couple of years ago, I was in 10 times better shape because I chased what he was like.
Mm-hmm.
So now I think to myself, I'm the chiropractor, I own a gym, I'm still in there hitting it as hard as I can. I want people in the gym to look at me and go, gosh, damn, Doc's still killing it.
Mm-hmm.
I better get off my, ASS
Yep.
and get out there and do a little bit more, because if he's still doing it and I'm slacking, that's kind of where your mindset is. At some point, your career is going to end. But guess what? You have a facility that you're building, and these kids you're building up with, that they're going to be like, man, I'm coaches. Now, then it's going to suck when you're like 35, 36, and they go, damn, coach is old.
Dude, nowadays, the college kids are on their mats waiting for me, and
Yeah.
I'll jump on with them. I'm like, I have to warm up, fellas, and let me stretch real quick. They're ready to go.
Dude, that's at 32,
Let
and
me
then I'm like at
stretch.
60-something, I'm telling myself, gosh, damn, Doc, don't be dying of a freaking heart attack when you're trying to prove a point either. Don't get to that point either. But as long as you're getting out there, because you want to have that positive mentality all the time, and you're already gotten that, you're wrestling with some of these college kids, but then you also know your limits. You're like, listen, let me get a little warm up first.
Yep.
But I think if we leave just a small thumbprint on this earth, the good Lord's going to take good care of both
The
of us.
salt of the earth.
Yeah, and we leave that thumbprint that somebody goes, man, this guy didn't just waste his life. You know what I mean? You're going to have that where people are going to go, oh, man, Paul, man, he was such a great coach, man. He was a great fighter, this and that. He mentored me, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with me. I'm trying to do the best I can in my life, in my career. I think if more people would think like that, our society would be 10 times better.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, that's some great conversation we're having, bro. I really appreciate it. But I want to ask you one more question before we finish up.
Okay.
If you were to sit down with somebody and have a conversation, have lunch with, dead or alive, who would you love to have a conversation with and pick their brain? And it can't be God, because we're all going to get a chance to do that, hopefully. I always love this question. Oh, we got him stumped, folks. Because he wants to have a good answer here. I can
I'm
tell.
trying to find somebody, to
I
be
know, right?
honest.
Yeah. Can't be your dad either, because he's already been with you with you in your life. Would it be in your industry, or would it be just a professional?
No, it would be somebody biblical. I would say. I would say
Yeah.
Simon Peter, because I
Yeah.
watch The Chosen right now,
Yeah.
and I started getting deeper into Simon Peter. I'm like, man, he named you Peter after being Simon. That's different. I want to know why, because he's the only disciple who came out first. Like, you're the Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I know it. And it's like perfect. I would pick his brain. I would love to ask
on
him,
his
but-
faith.
Yes.
On his faith and
Yes.
stuff like that. Man, that's a great answer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you
All
know what? I like Bishop Mary also right now. He's in Australia. He's on YouTube a lot. I go really hard on his podcast or his sermons and whatnot.
Yeah.
I love that guy. I would like to pick
Pick his brain a little
Yeah.
bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting, which is great. When you have that good spiritual background. I think when anybody in life has some sort of background like that, I personally think that your life will run 10 times better.
It is.
If you have nothing to believe in, then you say to yourself, well, then what do you think you're doing on this earth? I mean, you're just here for no reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So-
that's a tough
Yeah.
one.
So I can't comprehend that.
That's,
You know what I mean?
They're not ready for that question.
No.
That's a
You
tough
know what I
one.
mean? So, hey, man, with that being said, we're going to finish up here, man. We've been on this talk for a long time. We could go on forever, so I think people are going to be really interested in what's been going on with your career. Love having you on here. And we look forward to, your future and see where you go from there. Maybe we'll have you come back real soon and after a couple more fights or whatever, and then, go from there. But, if you like what you see, definitely, plug a like for us and subscribe to our channel. And I'd like to tell Paul that we appreciate you being here, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much, Doc.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see you soon.